Hey everyone and welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty big. It's changing the game for public servants like you. It's GovTech. We're looking at this OECD report. It's called Enabling Digital Innovation in Government. And it's honestly packed with insights. I think it could really revolutionize how we all serve citizens.
Yeah, you know what's really cool about this report is that it moves past just the hype. It doesn't just say GovTech is the next big thing and leave it at that. It really digs into what it means, like how it actually works,
Mhm.
and why it matters for people like us, folks on the ground dealing with real challenges every day.
Okay, I like that. So let's break it down. First things first. What exactly is GovTech? I feel like I hear that term everywhere, but I'm not always sure what it means like practically.
Right, it can be a bit of a buzzword, but when you get down to it, GovTech is about collaboration. It's like public sector agencies teaming up with startups, innovators, tech people, even academics to figure out digital solutions that work, solutions that really work for people.
So it's not about just buying the newest tech and hoping for the best.
Exactly. It's about having a plan, thinking outside that traditional government box,
Yeah.
being open to new ways of doing things.
That makes sense. And something this report highlights, which I think is important, is that this isn't just some far-off future thing. GovTech is happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. The OECD's 2023 Digital Government Index is pretty clear about that. Over 70% of OECD countries already have strategies to work with the whole GovTech ecosystem. That's a lot. And get this, 55% are already using GovTech to create a culture of innovation and trying new things, and doing that within their own governments.
Wow, those are some big numbers. Seems like GovTech is really hitting the mainstream.
Huh.
But why is that such a big deal? Why should we as public servants be so excited about this?
Well, think about what we deal with every single day. Tight budgets, systems that feel like they're from the Stone Age, this pressure to constantly do more with less. GovTech gives us a way to tackle those problems. It's about using tech to get more efficient, make our processes smoother, and at the end of the day, deliver better services to citizens.
So it's not just about making our jobs easier. It's about actually having an impact
Yeah,
on the people we serve.
exactly. And one of the most compelling reasons for GovTech is that it can level the playing field. Traditionally, big tech companies have kind of dominated government contracts. But GovTech opens the door for smaller players, startups with fresh ideas, innovative solutions. They get a seat at the table, too.
That is a good point. Sounds like GovTech could bring more competition
Definitely.
and different ways of thinking into the public sector, and that's always a good thing.
You got it. When you have that kind of energy, you're more likely to see really creative solutions pop up, solutions tailored to what we need, that are cost effective, and actually get results.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is so appealing. But let's get down to brass tacks here. The report talks about GovTech being all about solving real problems.
Right.
Can you give an example of what that looks like in action?
Sure. Imagine a city that's struggling with permit applications. Businesses are frustrated because it takes forever. People are waiting weeks or even months for approvals. The whole system is drowning in paperwork. A GovTech solution could be partnering with a startup, one that specializes in making easy-to-use online platforms.
Oh, so instead of dealing with tons of forms and waiting in lines, people could apply online, track their application.
And get approvals way faster.
Exactly. And here's the best part. That same platform, maybe with a few tweaks, could be used in other cities that are having the same problems. It's about finding solutions that work well, but that can also be scaled up and used again and again.
That's a total game changer,
Yeah.
especially for organizations that don't have a ton of resources. It's like sharing the best ideas and building on each other's successes. And that's a key part of the GovTech idea, collaborating, not just between public and private sectors, but between different parts of the government, too. The report really stresses how important it is to break down those walls and work together to find solutions that benefit everyone. It's like building a web of innovation where ideas and solutions can move freely, so everyone benefits.
Okay, I am sold. GovTech is awesome. It's the future. We should all be all over this. But let's be real for a second. Government can be, well, a little bureaucratic. So how do we actually make this happen? Where do we even begin?
That's the big question, isn't it? And the report gets into the nitty-gritty of that. It lays out these key building blocks for making GovTech work. And honestly, they're pretty insightful.
Okay, let's hear them. What's the first thing we need to think about?
It all starts with having a solid digital infrastructure. Think of it like the foundation. We build everything else on top of that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But what does that look like in the real world? Does every single government office need to become like a tech company?
Not really. It's more about having the right systems up and running. So, for example, strong data governance is super important. We need to make sure that all the data we collect is stored and shared the right way, securely and ethically.
That's a big one, especially with all the worries about data breaches and privacy these days.
For sure. And then there's interoperability. That means making sure that all our different systems can talk to each other without any hiccups. We can't have data stuck in silos. That defeats the whole purpose of GovTech.
Can you give me an example of what that would look like?
Sure, let's say someone is applying for social services. They shouldn't have to give the same info over and over again to different agencies with interoperable systems. That data they give to one agency could be shared seamlessly with others, and that would make the whole process much smoother.
That would be a huge help for people, especially those who are dealing with lots of different government services. It sounds like this digital infrastructure is pretty fundamental.
It really is. And it might mean using shared cloud services. This can be a more budget-friendly way for agencies to use the latest tech and all that computing power without having to spend a fortune on their own infrastructure.
So it's about being smart with our resources. I like that.
And
Okay, so we've got the tech side covered. What else do we need to make GovTech work?
culture. And this is where things get really interesting. Maybe a bit tricky.
How so?
Well, government culture, just by its nature, tends to be a little risk-averse. There are rules, regulations, established ways of doing things. But for GovTech to really take off, we need a culture that's all about collaboration and experimentation. We need to be willing to try new things, embrace agile ways of working, and be okay if we fail sometimes.
Wait, did you just say failure? I don't think I've ever heard that word in a government meeting.
I know, right? But it's important. We need to create a space where people feel safe taking risks, testing out new ideas, and learning from their mistakes. That's how innovation happens.
I get that.
Yeah.
But how do we change that mindset? It's not like we can just snap our fingers and become a bunch of risk-taking techies.
It takes time. And it starts with giving public servants the right skills, digital skills. We need to offer training and development so people can understand what tech can do and how to use it well.
So we need to upskill our workforce.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about fostering a mindset of curiosity, creativity, and working together.
Okay, so we've got the digital infrastructure. We've got the culture piece. What else are we missing?
Resources. Even the most brilliant GovTech ideas need fuel to get going.
And that's where things get tough, especially when budgets are tight.
You're not wrong. But the report makes a strong case for putting dedicated funding into GovTech. It also points out that we need to update how we do procurement, so it's easier for startups and smaller businesses to bid on government projects.
So we need to be more flexible and quicker on our feet with procurement.
Right. And we also need to figure out how to take those successful pilot projects and scale them up so they have a bigger impact. It's not enough to have a great idea that works in one small department or city. We need to find ways to replicate and spread those successes.
And that's where that vibrant GovTech ecosystem we talked about comes in.
Yes. Remember, all those startups and innovators, they are key. The report suggests supporting them through programs like accelerators, helping them get funding, and connecting them with government opportunities where their solutions can really make a difference.
It's about creating a win-win situation. We get access to cutting-edge stuff, and those startups get to grow and make a real impact.
Exactly. And by building up this GovTech ecosystem, we're creating a pipeline of innovation that can constantly feed into the public sector.
Okay, we've covered a lot here. Digital infrastructure, culture, resources, and the importance of working together. But how do we know when GovTech is the right approach for a specific problem? Is it the answer to every challenge?
That's a great question, and the report actually has a handy decision tree to help with that.
A decision tree. I love a good visual.
Basically, it comes down to a few questions. First, is the problem you're dealing with well-defined? If not, you might need to spend some time clarifying things before you even start thinking about solutions.
Makes sense. What's next?
Then ask yourself, are the potential solutions also well-defined? If you already know what needs to be done, then traditional approaches might be the best way to go.
So GovTech isn't always the right answer.
You got it. It's not about using tech just for the sake of using tech. It's about choosing the best tool for the job.
Okay, so when you GovTech, the best way to go.
When you have a problem that's clear, maybe it's even happening in multiple places, but you're not sure what the best solution is, that's when GovTech can really shine. It's about exploring new territory and coming up with solutions that might not have been possible with traditional approaches.
So it's about embracing those situations where we need to get creative and try something different.
Exactly. And GovTech gives us a way to do that by working with those innovators and startups. We can use their knowledge, their flexibility, and their willingness to experiment.
It's like having a team of experts, helping us navigate through all the complexities of this digital world.
I like that analogy, and it brings up another important point. GovTech isn't about making a sudden change and becoming a tech powerhouse overnight. It's a journey, a process of always learning and improving. Remember those building blocks we talked about? They're not just boxes to check off. They're areas where we can keep evolving and adapting as we learn more about GovTech.
So it's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of trying new things and getting better. That makes a lot of sense. But all this talk about learning and adapting, it makes me wonder, are there resources out there or communities that can help us along the way? I mean, no one wants to have to start from scratch every time, right?
That's where the beauty of the global GovTech community comes in. The report really emphasizes this. We need to learn from each other, share what's working, and even work together on projects. Think of it like a giant support group for GovTech enthusiasts.
That sounds amazing. I can already picture all the brainstorming and aha moments.
Exactly. And it's not just about celebrating the wins, it's about being upfront about the challenges too, the things that didn't work, and what we learned from them. That kind of honesty is so important for all of us to grow.
It's like having a network of people who get it, who understand the unique problems we have in the public sector, and who can offer guidance and support.
Exactly. And something that really stood out to me in the report is the importance of leadership. Having people at the top who are champions for GovTech is crucial.
It's like having someone up there waving the GovTech flag, saying, this is important, let's do this. It can make a huge difference in getting everyone on board, securing resources, and actually making change happen.
Absolutely. Because sometimes those new ideas, they can get stuck in all the red tape. Having a strong leader who gets GovTech and is willing to fight for it can change everything.
It's like having a sponsor who can clear the way and make space for innovation to happen.
Right. And it's not just about top-down leadership either. It's about creating a culture of innovation at every level of government.
Yeah.
It's about giving people the power to think creatively, to question the way things are done, and to come up with solutions that really serve the needs of our citizens.
That's what it's all about in the end, making a difference in people's lives. It's easy to get caught up in all the tech stuff and processes, but GovTech is really a tool to make people's experience with government better.
I agree 100%. Imagine a world where getting a permit is as easy as ordering takeout, or accessing essential services is just a few clicks away, no matter where you are, or how comfortable you are with technology. That's the kind of future GovTech can help us build.
A future where government is more efficient, more effective, and really focused on people.
And that's something worth working for. It means changing how we think, moving away from those old ways of working in silos, and embracing collaboration, experimentation, and a real commitment to serving citizens in new and innovative ways.
It's about using the power of technology to solve real problems and create a government that's more responsive, more inclusive, and truly focused on the needs of the people it serves.
And that's what makes this whole GovTech thing so exciting. It's not just about tech, it's about people.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive into GovTech, I want to leave everyone with a challenge. It's time for some introspection. Think about your own organization, your team, your role in the public sector. What's one challenge you face that GovTech could help solve?
It could be anything. Making internal processes smoother, improving how you deliver services, finding new ways to connect with citizens. The possibilities are endless.
And here's the real question. How can you be a champion for innovation in your own little corner of the world? How can you be a voice for GovTech? It doesn't have to be anything huge or complicated. Maybe you share an interesting article with your colleagues, or suggest a new way to approach a problem, or even just talk about how excited you are about the potential of GovTech and how it can make a real difference.
Remember, change starts with each of us. And by embracing the GovTech way of thinking, by being curious, by being willing to try new things and learn, and by working together, we can create a more effective and citizen-centered government for everyone.
And if you want to dive deeper into GovTech and get all those juicy details and examples, be sure to check out the full OECD report. It's called Enabling Digital Innovation in Government, the OECD GovTech Policy Framework. It's a fantastic resource, and you can find it all online.
Think of this deep dive as a little taste of what's out there, and the OECD report as the main course. It's a feast of insights and practical guidance for anyone who's serious about using GovTech to make a real difference.
I like that. So to all our listeners out there, go forth, be bold, be curious, and be the GovTech champion your organization needs.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep innovating.
So it's not just about flipping a switch and suddenly becoming like this tech powerhouse overnight. It's a journey.
Yeah,
It's this process of learning and getting better.
right, a process.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
But, all this talk about learning and adapting makes me wonder, are there, resources out there
For communities.
that can help us along the way? I mean, who wants to start from scratch every single time?
That's where the beauty of the global GovTech community really comes in. This report hits on this a lot. It emphasizes how important it is to learn from each other, sharing what works, maybe even working together on projects. It's like a massive support group for everyone who loves GovTech.
I love that. I can already imagine those brainstorming sessions and all those light bulb moments.
Exactly. And it's not just about celebrating the wins. It's also about being honest about the bumps in the road, the things that didn't quite work out. And what we learned from those experiences, that kind of openness is key for all of us to grow and get better.
It's like having this network of people who understand, they get the unique challenges we face in the public sector, and they can offer advice and support.
Absolutely. And one thing that really struck me in this report is the focus on leadership.
Yeah.
Having people at the top levels of government who are really passionate about GovTech is so important.
It's like having someone at the top who's saying, this is the way to go, let's make this happen. And that can make a huge difference
Oh, yeah.
in getting everyone on board,
Yeah.
getting the resources we need, and actually driving real change.
You're right, because sometimes those great new ideas get bogged down in all the bureaucracy. But when you have a strong leader, someone who understands the power of GovTech and is willing to advocate for it, it can totally change the game.
It's like having a sponsor who can clear the way and create a space where innovation can thrive.
Exactly. And it's not just about leadership from the top down either. It's about fostering that innovative spirit at every level of government, giving individuals the power to think outside the box, challenge the status quo, and come up with solutions that truly meet the needs of our citizens.
And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? It's about making a positive impact on people's lives. It's easy to get caught up in the technology and the processes, but really GovTech is about using those things as tools to make people's interactions with government better.
I couldn't agree more. Imagine a world where applying for a permit is as easy as ordering something online, or where you can access essential services with just a few clicks, no matter where you are, or how tech-savvy you are. That's the kind of future GovTech can help us create.
It's a future where government is more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
more effective, and really puts people at the center.
And that's a future worth fighting for. It means we have to change how we think. We have to move away from those old ways of working in silos and embrace working together, experimenting, and making a genuine commitment to serving our citizens in new and innovative ways.
It's about taking the power of technology and using it to solve real-world problems, to create a government that's more responsive, more inclusive, and truly focused on the needs of the people it serves.
And that's what makes this whole GovTech movement so exciting. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the people.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive into the world of GovTech, I want to leave our listeners with a little challenge. Time for some self-reflection, everyone. Think about your own organization, your team, your specific role. What's the challenge you face that GovTech could help you tackle?
It could be anything. Streamlining your internal processes, improving how you deliver services, finding new ways to engage with citizens. The possibilities are endless.
And here's the real question. How can you be a champion for innovation right where you are? How can you be a voice for GovTech? It doesn't have to be some big grand gesture. Maybe you share an interesting article with your coworkers, or suggest a new way to approach a problem, or even just talk about how excited you are about the potential of GovTech and how it can actually make a difference.
Remember, change starts with each one of us. And by embracing that GovTech mindset, by being curious, by being willing to experiment and learn, and by working together, we can create a government that's more effective, more citizen-centric for everyone.
And for those of you who want to really dive deep into GovTech and explore all those details and examples, check out the full OECD report. It's called Enabling Digital Innovation in Government, the OECD GovTech Policy Framework. It's an amazing resource, and it's all available online.
Think of this deep dive as a little taste of what's out there, and the OECD report as the main course, a feast of insights and practical guidance for anyone who's serious about using GovTech to make a real difference in people's lives.
I love that analogy. So to everyone listening, go out there, be bold, be curious, and be the GovTech champion your organization needs.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep innovating.
It's a feast of insights and guidance for anyone who wants to use GovTech to make a real difference for people. I love that analogy. So to all our listeners out there, go out there and be bold, be curious, and be the GovTech champion your organization needs.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep innovating at